Hello and welcome to the monthly review for July for Evil Pig Productions. I'm Jonathan Moore, the lead game designer.
I'm Megan Slade, lead artist.
And we have basically nothing.
Oh my gosh,
this month.
we have stuff. It's just this month has been a difficult month, I guess. Not really difficult for you. You've just been busy with other things.
I've been very busy.
But for me, it's been difficult.
Yeah, you've been going through some things.
I have seasonal depression.
I mean, you're getting better though.
Yeah.
And hopefully next month we can actually start to do more stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that seasonal depression is usually just for winter because, it's like sun goes down faster, so don't get as much sunlight. You have to deal with holidays and it's cold. But I'm like the opposite because where we are right now, it's just too hot. It's like today I checked the temperature and it was like 104 out. And it's just awful.
And whenever it gets cold over here, it actually is normal weather everywhere else, basically. And we can actually go outside and enjoy everything. But then whenever it gets to this weather, it's way too hot to do anything or cooped up inside.
And lately in my life, I've been a little bit more outdoorsy and I like to go on walks, but I can't. So I just sit inside and think about how I wish I could be outside. But then I step outside and then the sun just like fries me within seconds, and then I go back inside and I cry.
Well, jeez. Luckily where I work, I have to sit in front of a window inside of an air-conditioned room. So I still get the sun, but I also don't have to burn myself while I'm outside.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like in that middle area. But I can't do that much stuff for Evil Pig Productions right now because I'm busy working, trying to earn enough money to actually keep Evil Pig Productions afloat.
Yeah.
As well as, keep myself afloat.
But enough about that. Let's actually talk about what we've done. So after the last podcast, I finished the Puff Up animations, which was right when I started getting the seasonal depression. So it took me a long time to even finish the animations for it because I'd turn on my program and I would just stare at it for a long time, maybe like change a few pixels, and then I'd like just lay in bed.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So it was really hard for me to just get motivated to even work on it. And then I was able to finally push through it and get it done, and I was just like, thank you. And then I had to move on to the next thing.
I know that one thing that we can talk about that's separate from Feline Frontier, though, is that Primus Star. What we found out about Primus Star. What I found out, really. Some of the enemies in Primus Star apparently don't have the correct statistics. I only found one, but in my mind, I know that there's going to be another one. At least another one. Unless that's the only...
I thought you found more.
I only found one enemy that was messed up.
I thought you had like a whole list of enemies that were messed up.
No, I created a new list on Patreon, just all of the enemies with all the correct stats and everything. None of the experience. You'll still have to go into the book to look at the experience, but the enemies have all the correct stats on Patreon. We're also going to be releasing a DM app for Android and iOS, more than likely, as well as probably just a list of enemies that actually look nice, basically like a copy paste of the book enemies onto our website with all the new stats on them.
Okay.
And we'll also be releasing that in the actual bestiary for Primus Star, releasing all the enemies with all the correct statistics.
Yeah.
But that is one thing that I saw while I was doing some editing, looking through Primus Star, making an adventure module. I saw one of the enemies, and I instantly was just like, that's not correct. Because it was an espionage synth unit that had no espionage. There was no stealth skill whatsoever with that enemy. And I knew immediately that wasn't right. So I looked at the enemies that I worked on a separate sheet, and I saw that all the skills were off. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did finish, another thing with Primus Star, I did finish all of the Expand Universe book.
Okay.
So we have all of the new races, all of the new feats, all of the new classes, all of that finished for Primus Star. So we can release that whenever we actually get all the art for it. Yeah.
Well, after this, I want to do a different game.
Yes, I know that exactly. We'll be working on a different game next up
Yeah.
after Feline Frontier.
Which is my game.
Yes,
The next game is going to be my game.
the game that you've been excited for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah. We can't talk about that.
No, we cannot.
Is there anything else you worked on?
As for everything else, I like to do exercises. I know that. You know that about me.
Yeah.
Where I like to work on things randomly that don't really have any.
You like to make just new games on the fly,
Yeah,
basically.
just try test out mechanics,
Yeah.
see if what sticks and what doesn't.
Which is really something anyone aspiring to be a game designer should be doing. Just,
It's a good exercise,
just-
I think.
open up a Word document and start thinking of mechanics. I mean, you can think about the story, but also focus on mechanics.
I don't even think about the story. I
Yeah.
just write down mechanics and see what sticks, what doesn't.
Yeah.
I've made a few good mechanics out of that. I also made some mechanics that are kind of weird and don't make much sense. If you have been following us ever since April Fools of this year, you would have seen the clowning
clown one.
around
Yeah.
RPG that I made.
Yeah, I didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, I just put together some mechanics. That one was some weird mechanics, but I actually kind of liked the mechanics of that one.
Mm-hmm.
It was simplistic, but in a funny way. I even made some story for it, too. In fact, I think I started off with the story, the mechanics for that one. Even though
Yeah,
I
I
never,
think you did.
I never even do story. But that one, I was just like, no, there has to be a story of why you're being a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did like that. Maybe I'll release more for it whenever I decide to just play around April Fools of next year.
Okay, well, the other stuff I worked on was I did the speed paint, and this time I did the animation, even though no one asked for it. I just recorded myself doing an animation. So this month, I didn't do a background, and I did the animation for Experiment X, which is the last small enemy that I'll be working on. The next enemies are kind of like more medium-sized. They have more stuff going on for them, so they're a little bit more
Yeah.
difficult to animate. And then after that's going to be the bosses, which I'm really not looking forward to. But with Experiment X, like you saw in my animation, all I did was the idle and the walking animation. And with the walking animation, I thought about doing just like cheating, kind of, and just having like the legs move a little bit and it looked really stiff. But I was like, no, I can't do that. So then I had it like do this waddle thing where it kind of like tilts as it walks, and yeah, I liked how that came out. And that was actually one of the first, because usually when I make a walking animation, unless it's one of those like just things I do for like the really small things where I just move a few pixels, I usually use a animation book, and I look at the walking animations in there and I use it as a reference. And that one I didn't use a reference at all. So, and then after that,
I guess there wouldn't be a reference.
yeah,
for that one.
there really
No.
wouldn't be a reference for that because most of the walking animations in that book are for humans.
Yeah.
So
There's no like walking animation for like a spider or anything like that in the book.
I don't know. There might be. I haven't looked at it.
I would think that there'd be something for like insects or something like that.
I really
Maybe.
don't think so.
Maybe not. I mean, insects aren't really
The
something.
only thing I
that-
can think of would maybe be like animals,
Animals, yeah, horses.
but I don't think insects would really have some kind of special animation for them.
Yeah.
But then after Experiment X, I made the attack animation for it, which is it just jitters. It like closes its eyes. And it's
Yeah,
just like,
the
"Arr!"
attacking for it just puts out an electrical pulse that
Mm-hmm.
attacks anyone that's nearby. So it's not like it has to shoot anything or anything like that.
Yeah. And after that, I start working on the fighter, which is a humanoid. Like, I don't know if it's exactly humanoid. All I know is, like, got a cuttlefish for a face, and it's,
Well,
like,
I
in a
mean,
suit.
It's a cuttlefish that's inside of a glass jar that's in a suit, basically.
Yeah. So, the suit is humanoid,
Yeah.
in that it stands on two legs and stuff. And
The cuttlefish is a cuttlefish,
Mm-hmm.
given that it is a cuttlefish.
yeah. And so for Experiment X, if you saw the speed paint for it, you saw that I did the animation in like a wireframe where I had the red and blue colors, and then I went over and I colored it and stuff like that. With this one, I was like, I'm just going to skip that step, and I just started, I just changed the legs. Like, I erased the legs and just do it all in color.
You erase the legs for the fighter?
Yeah, and then I would animate the legs, and then I would color it in as I went.
I know that the first time you showed me the fighter, it was you apparently had the legs cross over
Yeah,
at one point
the
in the
legs
animation.
were messed up. It's like its butt was weird, and I was like, oh man, I just had to rearrange the frames. That was it.
Yeah. I like its little feet. It looks like they would make this slapping sound whenever they're walking.
Yeah. And then after that, I start working on the running animation, and it's kind of done, but I might tweak it a little bit, and that's as much as I did this month.
Yep. Then after you're done with the fighter, what are you going to work on next, you think?
I think the heavy.
The heavy?
Mm-hmm. And then after that, I'll do the mind pig versions of them.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because then you just have to take the same thing and then make it all fleshy.
Oh, well, the fighter's different how it stands. It's like a lot hanging over a lot more. There's going to be a lot more going on with it because it's got tentacles on its face, and so the tentacles are going to be moving.
Yeah.
Which I sometimes look at that and I'm just like, yeah, it'll be cool to animate, and then I actually start doing it. I'm like, why did I do this to myself?
It's that whole rule of as soon as you make things more complex, the harder it is going to be to animate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is why a lot of cartoons are really simple, and then you look at stuff what's really detailed, like anime characters, and that relies on a lot of still shots, and the animation's choppy. Though the animation lately has been getting really good, but it's just I can't imagine doing that stuff.
I feel like a lot of artists that do anime, they've been starting to look at more Western artists, how they do animation. They've been trying to go to that kind of thing.
I can see that a little bit.
I feel like that's what's happening. But speaking of the whole complexity does not equal good animation thing, I remember that was the thing with Incredibles with Violet's hair in the first Incredibles. My mind just instantly went to that.
Yeah, apparently Violet, like some facts going on here with the Incredibles, but Violet, like the animators didn't even know if they'd be able to animate her because of her hair, and it was really difficult for them to animate her hair.
Yeah, it was like all... I don't even know the reason. I think it's because it was all like individual hairs or something.
No, it's just long.
It was just long?
Yeah,
that
long
was
hair.
it?
It's like, in old video games, characters just had short buzz cuts, which drove me insane. I hate short hairs. I have long hair myself, and I always wanted long hair in video games. But they're like, well, it's too hard to animate. I'm like, then don't animate it. Just have it be still.
Yeah, just keep up to date with Evil Pig Productions, and we'll be releasing characters with long hair in our video games.
Yeah.
Megan's gonna do all the work.
But, so the things that are most difficult, that I don't know how difficult they are to animate now because it's like technology is getting better, but clothes and hair, like long hair. Like realistic looking clothes and hair, that's the most difficult things to animate in 3D.
Usually clothes either looks like it's sprayed on or it looks like it's so tight that it's just doesn't move.
It just doesn't really move that well.
Yeah.
Like it's plastic.
Yeah, I remember in that makes me think of Dark Souls, actually. They have clothes that move in that game, but everything looks like it's sort of plasticky, almost. Like it's not supposed to be.
It's like some of the early 2010 games. I think about Saints Row and all the clothes in that game.
God.
They look so bad.
It looked horrible. But,
They did what they could.
it was a joke game anyways, so... It was a fun joke game, but still a joke game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be working on the heavy for next month, and
No, I'll still be working on the fighter for next
you think
month.
you'll be working on the fighter?
I'm not done with the fighter. I did
You're
its
almost
walking
done with it,
and
I
running
think.
animations, and I can't remember if it has a jump animation or not. I will shoot myself if it has a jump animation.
The fighter, I don't believe has a jump animation.
And then it's not perfectly symmetrical, so I can't just flip it because one arm is like a gun arm. It's like the same thing as the cat's. One arm's a gun arm.
Yeah, I was looking at that whenever you were showing me, and it was like, why didn't you just make it so that both the arms were gun arms or something like that?
Because I didn't think about it when I drew it.
You can just edit.
I already made its walking animation.
Yeah, but then you could just edit the arm to be gun arm, and then just have it so it's flipped around. You won't have to worry about it at that point.
Or we could just flip it around and...
Or you could do whatever you want to. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just trying to figure out a way that you could circumvent having to do a whole new animation.
The heavy is symmetrical, so we can just flip it over.
Yeah. In fact, with the I don't know if you really want to do that. you already made the wireframes for the Mind Pig versions of the enemies, right?
Yeah.
You okay then? So you already
But
have that finished.
remember I was saying with the fighter, instead of doing the wireframe, I just straight up took the colored version and like just started working off the colored version
Yeah.
instead of making a wireframe.
Yeah, you didn't really do anything with the fighter.
I think the only time a wireframe would help me would be if I like made its parts individual, kind of like how they do with a lot of bosses. We did it with Crad too, where you know
Yeah.
his limbs are individual.
I had to make an entire like sheet of how to describe each part of Crad and how it would move and everything like that.
Yeah.
And even now, I have to look back at it. In fact, I should probably look back at it and see how I have it moving, because there are some things I don't think would make sense now that I've made some of the not animations, the special effects.
Yeah. We'll have to look back at that.
Yeah.
Because when we made that, it was when we didn't really know much about making games.
Yes. We were doing our best.
Which is why we had to stop and make Primus Star.
I mean, I think no. The reason why we made Primus Star was because there was more people that were wanting Primus Star to be released.
And
At that
also,
current time.
it's just my skills.
Maybe it was because of that too.
I didn't know anything about animation.
True, but Primus Star didn't teach you.
No, I took classes in between that time.
All right, yes, fine. You did take classes.
It gave me a buffer.
Okay then, true. So you could actually research and do everything like that
Or
while
had
you're
to
just
animate.
doing 2D animations for Primus Star.
I think the next sneak peek should be my old animation for the running for the cat.
Oh,
It was so bad.
okay then. Yeah, we could do that. We could even show. I still want to kind of show off a little bit of the game that we have right now for Feline Frontier.
I would love to do that as well, but you guys haven't done any of the programming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could do it as in, like, show it what I have,
Yeah.
which is the horrible animation where as soon as you drop, then you're stuck in the dropping animation. You cannot turn right, I don't think. You're always stuck going left. Well, being left. You can go right anytime you want to. It just doesn't turn right.
Yeah.
And the background is all blue.
Yeah, none of my beautiful backgrounds are in there.
Yeah, nothing is in there right now. The doors don't even work. There are no enemies. Just a cat.
Yeah.
A wireframe cat.
That's when I wanted to see how the animations looked in game, and then I would adjust them, and that's when we stopped.
Yeah. We stopped dealing with that, and then we went to Primus Star, and then we came back to Feline Frontier, and then Megan just looked at the old animations
And I
and
was
was just
like,
like, ugh, let's make new animations. So now we have to actually incorporate the new animations back into
Yeah.
Feline Frontier and get everything rolling again with the code, which we'll most likely be doing today after this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Megan won't be doing anything with that. She's not a programmer.
Yep.
As for everything else, though, I think that's about everything that we worked on.
Yeah,
for
that's
this
pretty
month.
much it.
We know a lot of stuff that we need to do. I've been keeping track of that. I don't know when we're actually going to be doing Primus Star stuff again. That's going to be
Unless we can find someone to help us with it.
true. Another artist of
Which
equal
is hard, really hard to find for
Yeah.
us. Anyway.
just an artist of equal or greater skill than Megan. But I don't know if he can get better than Megan.
Yeah, you can.
Well, maybe someone will actually find us. I know that I've been I've been shilling out some Evil Pig production stuff while I've been at work, and I've been just like, hey, if you're interested, check out Evil Pig Productions.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, we do need to do business cards as well. That is one thing that's going to be on the list for this coming month. So yeah, we'll be doing that.
That won't be me.
That will not be you, no.
It'll be Natalie.
That's going to be, yes, our graphic designer. And me. Like, putting on the information. But I believe that should be it for this month.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I have been Jonathan Moore, the lead game designer.
I'm Megan Slade, lead artist.
Until next month, talk back to you
Bye.
later.
Bye.